Kia ora everyone, my name is Ben, I'm the head of music at Waiku College, and today on our episode of Muse, we'll be talking to Kris of Coridian about his song Mantra, and then we'll also discuss how he got into music at high school and some advice that is great for you as a student. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll see you in the episode. Okay, welcome back. This is episode 2 of Muse, and I'm Ben, head of music at Waiku College, and tonight our guest is Kris from Coridian. How you going, Kris?
Hi, how's it going, guys?
Awesome. So, Kris, I just want to ask you to just talk about your experience at school and tell us how you became a musician.
Yeah, so I actually come from quite a musical family. My dad's been in bands his whole life, so when I grew up, it was like, here's an instrument. What do you want to play? Here's a whole bunch of records you can listen to. So pretty much, I think I played keyboard from about 8 to 10. Then I started playing classical guitar. Then I wanted to play Green Day songs, so I picked up electric. Then I was not that good at guitar, and so I picked up drums, and I was like, okay, this is my instrument. So from about 13 onwards, I did percussion ensemble. I got drum lessons for about 6 years.
Wow.
Best thing I ever did. And I've been basically playing in bands since I was about 12 at, I think, an intermediate talent quest was my first gig. It was awful, but, just got in there straight away. Ever since I did every rock quest every year.
Good.
Then that went to Battle of the Bands, and then I know I probably count that I played in at least 12 to 15 bands over my life. To varying degrees of success, if you could say. And then So I also during school, I had to, because I'm a drummer. I did learn how to write and read drum music. I could read guitar music and write it, and to do all my study throughout high school to keep up with everyone else that was probably playing piano or trumpet or anything like that. I actually had to get private lessons on top of that to learn how to do music theory and piano theory, and that kept me going all through high school. And I think I ended up being the only dude by 7th form in my music class, developing a really good relationship with my teacher. I got to play drums every day at school.
Nice.
Can't really complain about that. I probably had my best marks in class. I played anything from Led Zeppelin to Blink-182, transposing them and playing them in front of people, getting good marks. It was awesome. So, and that's just kind of carried on from there, really.
Sweet. So with your music theory stuff, that's incredible. Would you tell students that do you reckon it's important that they learn that stuff? Because if you don't mind me saying, when I was young, I was quite naive, and my music teacher used to tell me that I should learn it, and I was kind of like, I play guitar and I know how to play power chords, and I use my ear. And she's like, no, you need to learn this because it's going to come in handy. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I'm probably more naive now and really upset that I can't remember a lot of it. But I would highly recommend it, because the fact that if you can write a song on nearly any instrument, if you can do piano theory, and you can, maybe that will go to most other instruments.
Great.
And then the technology we live in now, the world we live in now with technology, you can write all your own music. You can play a lot of the instruments. It's brilliant, really. So I would, all 100% all the way. I think I maybe got to level 5 or 6 in music theory, and it was kept me through school and helped with how I write and see things. So for sure.
Fantastic, man. Great. So Kris plays in you play in Coridian now. And one of the things that the main focus of the show kind of is to like take a song and one of your own pieces and kind of break it down and let you talk about how it was conceptualized. If we talked before about how it came to be, and then kind of like what you've done to make the song what it is, like how you considered the parts that you play. So just quite quickly, if you haven't heard the song that we're talking about is Mantra. It's from Aldur, which is their third EP. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a 7-minute song, so it's going to require your attention. But yeah, talk us through it, and then I've got some notes that I'll talk to you at the end if need be. But just tell me how it came to be, and because it's a long song, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. Mantra's probably, well, it's the longest song we've written so far. It's probably one of the hardest songs we've ever written. It took us a very long time. I hate using the word, but I'd say Coridian's a very organic band when it comes to writing and rehearsing. We generally have never written ideas and sent them to each other via, the computers, the
That's
internet.
fascinating.
God, I sound old. We literally are that band that will get together every Monday and we'll practice for 3 hours. Generally, it's the most standard thing. The guitarist has the riff, or someone has something they've written on a piano, and it's a simple thing, and it basically just builds and builds and builds from there. Everyone in our band has 100% say in everything we do. It's full democracy, despite a million arguments. The songs doesn't always generally if just because the riff is the way the riff is, it doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. And so when the drums come in, someone might have a drum idea. Most of the time we'll put my thing in, but someone will be like, nah, we need to go this way, we need to go that way. And so with Mantra, that was definitely a song that was written almost section by section, and to the point where we even recorded it. The final, I guess, climactic part was actually all written in the studio, because another part we had written for it didn't even need to, it didn't work for the feel of the song.
So I'm gonna jump in. So
yeah,
when you who came up? Do you reckon with that idea? Did someone bring the initial idea in? Mike is your guitarist, right?
Yeah. So Mike's, I'd say, a big songwriter, and he's the guitarist. So he would have had the initial riff, maybe the verse riff, maybe the chorus, and from there, the drum beat at the beginning, that kind of offbeat kind of disco-y beat. That was something I came up with. Initially, it was like, oh, do we like this? Our producer wasn't sure about it, but we're like, you know what? It's a little bit different, and it works. And it's the heartbeat. It's the heartbeat of the song.
That's a good way of putting it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's really got that feel, and the song is quite an offbeat song to a point. The way it kind of flows, like the lyrics, it's really it's quite wavy as well. The aspects of me and the bass tying in is definitely something that me and my brother Nick, who plays the bass, is something we always are really big on, is that solid foundation of the rhythm section, and tying those components in to make something really stick out to you. That was a really big thing as well.
And so when we talked before we started this recording, I mentioned about how if you go and for our students and whoever's listening, if they go and listen to that second verse, there's a lot of interconnection, a lot of play off each other. Mike's holding this guitar line that's kind of ethereal, it's full of reverb and delay and a really nice sound, but then underneath there's this gnarly growling bass that kind of comes in and out, which you hear at the beginning of the song about the 1 minute mark, which is great work.
The song, from my to how I wrote it and to how I play it, nearly every section is written so specifically. Even in that second verse that we're talking about, there's actually 3 sequences of drum patterns. So it starts off a bit more subtle, and then there's a bit more snare added, and then there's way more toms added. And the bass is kind of following that similar thing. So I guess syncopation that we were talking about earlier as well.
Yeah.
There's
nice.
And even with the chorus, there's a kind of a pre-chorus, and that's kind of the off groove. And then the chorus, for me, there's 4 separate drum patterns I play that take on various kind of stages, and then that means the vocals and the guitars almost blend into that as well. So it's one of those songs where you really want to be this is our journey song, we're
you can feel that, man.
On this ride. Yeah,
that's cool. And in that, as I said before, in the what I would call like the first part of the chorus. You call it, I guess we could call it a pre-chorus if we're going to talk about structural wise. There's that beat that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So typically, rock drummers are just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But there's this thing that kind of throws you off and it grabs your attention real quickly. So if you've been daydreaming because you've been scrolling endlessly on your phone, all of a sudden you get thrown back into reality. You're like, well, what happened there? And then you go into this half-time feel and stuff. I love that sort of stuff, man, and I love the fact that you've told me and those that are watching about how you're consciously making those writing decisions. That means a lot. That means you care about your craft, you care about your art. So if I just jump quickly, we'll just jump over this way for a bit. Who are some of your influences for like coming up with your parts on drums?
I think I'm a bit boring. I probably had the same for a while.
It's fine.
I've always had a list as well. I've always got lists for everything.
Good.
But I'd say the ones that have just changed everything about my style, and they are so influential, and I feel like people could hear it. The biggest one would be Abe Cunningham from Deftones.
Nice. Yeah, he's
I don't think he's like the one metal drummer that isn't a metal drummer.
Yeah.
It's great. He's just 100% groove the whole time, and when I was growing up, I wanted to play all the fills and as fast as possible and do everything at once. And then you go and listen to someone like him, and he's just like this master of creating groove and space and feel.
Yeah.
But then going the opposite way, another huge influence was Travis Barker, Blink-182, plays on every hip-hop artist under the sun.
Yep.
Because of his diverse range. Like, his drumming is ridiculous. And the things he does with like little cymbal hits, and the way he kind of puts them in like he plays 4/4 beats, but he's doing frills on things that are kind of making it not 4/4. It's really cool. And then the other biggest one would be John Bonham that we had talked about earlier as well. Probably just phenomenal drummer. Basically played double kicks without a double kick.
Yeah, true.
Triplet god. I mean, I learned how to play triplets, and I always try and put triplets in my I use them for fills all the time. Not as good as his, but yeah. So those three guys for sure. Moby Dick by Led Zeppelin, huge song for me. Mm-hmm. Every drummer should learn that song.
Yeah,
that will take you on a journey in itself.
Let me throw a couple of names at you. Steve Judd from Carnival.
Oh. Yeah, well, we do start with Steve Judd. I think Carnival's album Sound Awake is probably one of the best and underrated albums of all time.
Virtual High Five. When I first heard that song, I first heard that album, someone recommended it to me because I was waiting for Tool's release. I kind of was like, what? Where did this come from? And I agree. I saw them live at King's Arms and was absolutely blown away.
I came across them at Big Day Out accidentally, and then I heard Sound Awake and I heard New Day, and to this day that song has never gotten old. And I bought it on vinyl not so long ago, and I heard things I've never heard from that album, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Just pure masterclass. Speaking
my language. I am a humongous Carnival fan. And then I guess one other drummer that I'm not too sure if you're familiar you will be familiar with, Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater.
Yeah, I am very familiar with him. I'm actually not a big Dream Theater fan.
Understandable.
Not because I don't like them. I just actually don't listen to them. I actually use Mike Mangini drumsticks, however.
Okay. Yep.
But yes, very, respect how phenomenal they are as musicians. Do follow them with more of an interest than a listening ear.
Sure.
But I'd say if we're talking about progressive bands, obviously we can go and talk about Danny Carey as well.
Yeah, man, 100%.
A man that I've seen since 2001. I saw them at North Shore Event Centre when I was 13.
I was there with you when I was probably about 17 or 18.
And I'd say again to any drummer who wants to see how it's done, and so originally, the guy doesn't use a click track, which to me is actually amazing. And yeah, his drum kit is just ridiculous. Like he creates stuff that no one else does. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Also, look, thank you so much for your time. I think we've got a lot of information. And what I would recommend to anyone watching, including mainly my students, is now that you've heard us talk a little bit about Kris's influences and also then how they approach the song, go use your tarangas and go listen to the song and pay attention to what's happening and listen to what's going on, because then you can use that information and take what you learn from him and apply it to your own music. And that's essentially what a muse is about, is teaching and kids, giving them different perspectives, because mine is only one and a book is only theirs, and so to get multiple is just I'm so grateful to have you here and having spent your time
if I can just say, so yeah, thank you so much for having me. If I can just say, yeah, like, and when you're playing, enjoy it. Find all the music you can from every different avenue, take it in, listen to it start to end, try and find things that you never thought you'd hear before. Just love playing your instrument, find a bunch of mates to do it with, write a bunch of rad songs for you and your mates, but mainly for you. And really, like, what people have told me since day one, if you're going to start a band or a project as an artist, it's going to be really tough. As artists, you know, like, we get rejected a lot. That's going to make you super strong, and it's just going to make you a way more, you know, a person that's going to be able to just go on and be able to take it on, you know, take on the world with that attitude of like, nah, you can't get me down kind of thing. So yeah, but just remember, music is fun.
Fantastic advice, and something that I couldn't have said better myself. So thank you again, man, and we'll talk again soon.
No worries.
And we'll see you
awesome,
again
man.
on the next episode. See you later.
Thank you.